90 minutes. That was all the time left. The entire world was watching. Millions filled the stadium. Hundreds of millions were glued to their screens, and every eye was locked on one man. Cristiano Ronaldo. To some, he was still the greatest soccer player to ever step onto a field. To others, he was a legend whose time had already passed. But tonight, none of that mattered. This wasn't just another World Cup match. This was the final chapter of a career that had inspired an entire generation. One last chance. One last battle. One last dream. The Portuguese fans filled the stadium with deafening chants. Ronaldo! 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 As Ronaldo walked through the tunnel, he paused for a moment. He looked around. Then he looked up at the sky. In that silent moment, memories rushed through his mind. The narrow streets of Madeira, the sacrifices, the endless training sessions, the pain, the criticism, the victories. Every step had led him here. He had won almost everything a footballer could dream of, but one prize still haunted him: the FIFA World Cup. Inside Portugal's locker room, no one spoke. The pressure was overwhelming. Every player understood what this night meant. Then Ronaldo slowly stood up. He looked at every teammate in the room. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned with determination. Forget what people say. They think we're finished. They think our story is over. Tonight, we fight for our country. We fight for every child who dreams of wearing this jersey. And if this is my last World Cup match, then let's make sure the world never forgets it. The room exploded with applause. Fear disappeared. Belief took its place. Across the hallway, Spain's locker room was filled with confidence. Several players laughed quietly. One of them smiled and said, "Tonight ends the Ronaldo era." Another replied, "History belongs to Spain now." They believed Portugal had already lost, but they were about to face something far more dangerous than talent. They were about to face a man with nothing left to lose. The national anthems echoed through the stadium. The lights grew brighter. The crowd roared louder than ever. The referee stepped onto the field. Ronaldo closed his eyes for one final second. He took a deep breath and whispered to himself, "This isn't for me. This is for Portugal." The referee raised the whistle. The entire stadium fell silent. One whistle, one match, one final chance at immortality, and the greatest battle between Portugal and Spain was about to begin. The referee's whistle echoed through the stadium. The World Cup battle had begun. Spain immediately took control. Their passes were quick, precise, relentless. Portugal chased the ball, but Spain looked completely comfortable. 5 minutes in, Spain created the first real chance. A powerful strike flew toward the top corner. Portugal's goalkeeper launched himself across the goal and pushed the ball over the crossbar. The Portuguese fans erupted in relief. Ronaldo clapped his hands. "Stay focused. We've got this." But Spain kept coming. Every attack tested Portugal's defense. Every minute increased the pressure. Commentators around the world began asking the same question: can Portugal survive the storm? Then, Portugal finally found an opening. A midfielder stole the ball near midfield and quickly played it forward. Ronaldo saw the pass before anyone else. He exploded into space. The crowd jumped to its feet. One defender, then another. Both were left behind. Suddenly, it was Ronaldo against the goalkeeper. The stadium held its breath. He fired a powerful shot toward the bottom corner. The goalkeeper stretched with every ounce of strength and somehow got a hand to it. The ball rolled inches wide of the post. Ronaldo dropped to one knee. He couldn't believe it. The entire stadium gasped. Spain had survived. The Spanish players smiled. One defender walked past Ronaldo and quietly whispered, "Your time is over." Ronaldo didn't answer. He simply stood up. His face showed no anger, only determination. As play continued, the tackles became harder. Every challenge carried more emotion. Neither team wanted to make the first mistake. 35 minutes into the match, Spain launched another dangerous attack. A perfect cross found their striker inside the box. He headed the ball toward goal. The net seemed certain to ripple, but Portugal's goalkeeper produced another unbelievable save. The Portuguese bench exploded with cheers. The match was still scoreless. As halftime approached, Ronaldo looked around the stadium. Thousands of Portuguese supporters were still singing, still believing. He clenched his fists. "This story isn't over," he whispered. Then the referee looked at his watch, raised the whistle, and ended the first half. The scoreboard still read Portugal 0. Spain 0. But everyone inside the stadium knew the second half would decide everything. The players returned from the locker room knowing that the next 45 minutes could change history forever. The energy inside the stadium was unlike anything anyone had ever experienced. Every fan was standing. Every camera was focused on one man, Cristiano Ronaldo. He looked calm on the outside, but inside, he knew this could be the final World Cup match of his legendary career. Spain wasted no time after the restart. They pressed higher, moved the ball faster, and forced Portugal deeper into their own half. Portugal fought for every tackle, every pass, and every inch of the field, but the pressure kept building. Then, in the 58th minute, disaster struck. Spain's midfielder slipped a perfect through ball behind Portugal's defense. Their striker sprinted onto it, took one touch, and fired a powerful shot into the top corner. The goalkeeper had no chance. The stadium exploded. Spanish fans celebrated wildly as the scoreboard changed. Spain 1. Portugal 0. For a few seconds, the Portuguese supporters fell completely silent. The television cameras immediately found Ronaldo. He stood frozen, staring at the scoreboard. Around the world, millions of people wondered if this was the moment his dream would finally disappear. One Spanish defender walked past him with a smile and quietly said, "It's over, Ronaldo." But Ronaldo didn't respond. Instead, he slowly picked up the ball from inside the goal and carried it back to the center circle. His face showed no panic, no frustration, only determination. He gathered his teammates together. "Listen to me," he said. "One goal doesn't decide champions. We've worked our entire lives for moments like this. We don't stop fighting now." Those words changed everything. Portugal suddenly looked like a different team. Their passes became sharper. Their movement became faster. Every player believed they could still turn the match around. In the 68th minute, Portugal launched a dangerous counterattack. Ronaldo received the ball near midfield, turned past one defender, accelerated between two more, and drove toward the edge of the penalty area. The crowd rose to its feet as thousands of Portuguese fans screamed his name. He unleashed a powerful shot that looked destined for the top corner, but Spain's goalkeeper somehow reached it with his fingertips, pushing the ball onto the crossbar before it bounced away. The stadium couldn't believe what it had just witnessed. Ronaldo looked toward the sky, took a deep breath, and smiled. He knew the goal was coming. Spain had survived once again, but for the first time in the match, they looked nervous. The momentum had changed. The pressure was no longer on Portugal. Now, Spain was the team desperately trying to protect its lead, and with every passing minute, Ronaldo moved closer to writing one final chapter that the football world would never forget. The clock showed just 15 minutes remaining. Portugal was running out of time. Every second felt heavier than the last, but Ronaldo refused to let his teammates lose hope. He kept pointing forward, demanding more movement, more pressure, and more belief. Spain could sense the danger. They dropped deeper into their own half, defending with every player behind the ball. Their only goal now was to survive the final minutes. The Portuguese crowd never stopped singing. The noise echoed through the stadium like a heartbeat. In the 78th minute, Portugal won a free kick just outside the penalty area. The entire stadium froze. There was only one man walking toward the ball: Cristiano Ronaldo. The cameras zoomed in as he carefully placed the ball on the grass. He took 3 slow steps backward and stared at the goal. The Spanish wall stood perfectly in front of him, while their goalkeeper kept shouting instructions. The referee blew the whistle. Ronaldo took his famous run-up. He struck the ball with incredible power. It flew over the wall, curled toward the top corner, and for one unforgettable second it looked like the perfect goal. Then, the crossbar shook, the ball crashed against the frame and bounced back into play. The entire stadium gasped. Some Portuguese fans covered their faces, others couldn't believe their eyes. It was heartbreak once again. Spain quickly cleared the danger, and the match continued. Ronaldo stood still for only a moment before clapping his hands. "Keep pushing," he shouted. "We're not finished." His determination spread through the entire team. Portugal attacked again and again, forcing Spain to defend deeper than ever before. Then came the 86th minute. Portugal's winger sprinted down the right side and delivered a dangerous cross into the box. A defender reached it first, but could only head it into the air. The loose ball dropped perfectly toward Ronaldo. Without hesitation, he launched himself into the air. Time seemed to stop. Every fan held their breath. Ronaldo connected with a thunderous bicycle kick. The ball rocketed toward the goal. The Spanish goalkeeper managed to get a hand on it, but the shot was simply too powerful. The net exploded. Goal. The stadium erupted into complete chaos. Portuguese players ran toward Ronaldo as the crowd celebrated louder than ever before. The scoreboard now read, Portugal 1. Spain 1. Ronaldo stood in front of the Portuguese supporters, placed his hand over the badge on his chest, and pointed toward the sky. But even with the score level, he knew one thing: the job wasn't finished. There were only a few minutes left, and the greatest moment of his career might still be waiting. The stadium had turned into pure chaos. Portuguese fans were celebrating Ronaldo's incredible equalizer, while the Spanish supporters stood in stunned silence. The scoreboard read 1-1, but everyone knew this match was far from over. Only a few minutes remained. Spain refused to surrender. They immediately pushed forward, determined to steal the victory before the final whistle. Their midfield moved the ball with incredible speed, creating chance after chance. Portugal's defenders threw themselves into every tackle, blocking shots and clearing crosses as if their lives depended on it. In the 90th minute, Spain came within inches of ending Portugal's dream. A curling shot beat the goalkeeper and smashed against the post before bouncing back into play. The Portuguese fans couldn't breathe. Ronaldo sprinted back into his own half to help defend, making one final desperate clearance that kept Portugal alive. The fourth official raised the electronic board. 5 minutes of stoppage time. 5 minutes to decide everything. The crowd roared louder than ever. Ronaldo gathered his teammates one last time. "This is our moment," he said. "No fear. No regrets. We finish this together." Portugal attacked with every ounce of energy they had left. The ball moved from one side of the field to the other. Spain defended bravely, but exhaustion was beginning to show. Then, in the 94th minute, Portugal won possession near midfield. A quick pass found Ronaldo. He turned instantly, escaping one defender with a brilliant first touch. Another defender charged toward him, but Ronaldo slipped the ball through his legs and burst into open space. The stadium rose to its feet. Only 2 defenders remained. Instead of shooting, Ronaldo noticed a teammate making a perfect run into the penalty area. With incredible vision, he delivered a perfectly weighted through ball. The striker met it with one touch and fired toward goal. The Spanish goalkeeper stretched with everything he had, but the ball rolled past his fingertips and into the bottom corner. Goal. The Portuguese bench exploded onto the sidelines. The crowd shook the entire stadium. Portugal had completed the comeback. Ronaldo didn't celebrate immediately. He simply stood there, closed his eyes, and smiled. He knew the match wasn't over yet. One final whistle still stood between Portugal and immortality. Spain raced back to the center circle for one last attack. The final minute had arrived. Every heartbeat, every tackle, every second would decide who would be remembered forever. Spain restarted the match with only seconds remaining. Every Portuguese player dropped back to defend. The stadium was shaking with noise as thousands of fans screamed. Knowing that one final attack could change everything, Spain moved the ball forward with incredible urgency. One pass, then another, and suddenly their striker found himself just outside the penalty area. He fired a powerful shot toward the bottom corner. The Portuguese goalkeeper reacted instantly, diving to push the ball away, but the danger wasn't over. The rebound fell to another Spanish player. He swung his foot before he could shoot. A Portuguese defender threw himself across the ball, making the biggest block of his career. The loose ball rolled toward Ronaldo. Without hesitation, he cleared it deep into Spain's half. The crowd counted every second. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The referee raised the whistle. Full time. Portugal had completed an unforgettable comeback. Players collapsed to the ground in tears. The Portuguese bench stormed onto the field. Fans celebrated as if the entire nation had become one heartbeat. Ronaldo stood alone for a moment in the center of the pitch. He looked around the stadium, taking in every sound, every face, and every memory. Then he slowly dropped to his knees. Tears filled his eyes. Not because he had scored, not because Portugal had won, but because he had proven something far greater. Legends don't quit when the world doubts them. They rise one last time. His teammates surrounded him, lifting him onto their shoulders as the Portuguese supporters chanted his name louder than ever before. Ronaldo! 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 The cameras captured one final image. Ronaldo smiling through tears while holding Portugal's flag across his shoulders. It was a moment that would live forever in the hearts of football fans. As he walked toward the tunnel, he looked back at the field one last time and quietly whispered, "Thank you, Portugal." The stadium lights slowly faded. The crowd kept singing. And although every football career must eventually come to an end, some stories never do. Because true greatness isn't measured only by trophies. It's measured by courage, sacrifice, and the belief to keep fighting until the very last whistle.